And the biggest change I noticed was in the brain. We have, I believe, something like 10,000 mitochondria per neuron in our brain. I think it's like 1 to 2,000 per muscle cell and about 5,000 per heart cell. That Alzheimer's disease is actually a disease, and we call that, type 3 diabetes. It's associated with insulin resistance. We've also heard it's an inability for the brain to go through a process of autophagy and clean out the trash in those neurons.
Anyone who wants to learn more beyond our discussion, look up the work of Amy Berger. And she's highlighted this very, very well in a book and numerous talks on YouTube. But yeah, basically what we see in Alzheimer's disease and other neurological disorders like migraines and epilepsy is that there is this phenomenon of brain glucose hypometabolism. And basically it's like this. The brain is an energy hog. It is among the highest metabolic rate organs in the body, so it has a high demand for energy. The problem is the brain becomes insulin resistant is that it is no longer able to meet that energy. There develops an energetic gap. And because the person is eating a high starch, high sugar diet, eating every 2 or 3 hours, insulin is constantly demanding that the body be in sugar burning mode, and the brain is generally no exception to that. %100% of the brain's energy in the average person must be coming from glucose because insulin is telling it to, and secondly, because the alternative fuel isn't available. And I'll come back to that in just a second. But as the brain becomes increasingly insulin resistant, its ability to get sufficient glucose to meet its energetic needs is compromised. And now we have, as I mentioned a moment ago, this energetic gap. And this is brain glucose hypometabolism. It is a real phenomenon that is detectable in humans years before Alzheimer's settles in. So we can detect and measure this, quantify this in humans. If someone is able to fill that energetic gap with ketones, then the problem starts to resolve. It's most explicitly with seizures. A person who has epilepsy, if they are in ketosis, they may never have another seizure again. Many people, including one of my colleagues just down the hall, they will have frequent migraine headaches, like debilitating headaches, 1 or 2 a week. They will go from having 1 or 2 a week to having 1 or 2 every 6 months. And so there is, even in migraine headaches, some of this energetic deficiency. And then even in Alzheimer's disease, we have evidence in humans to show that if you take someone that is in the throes of Alzheimer's disease, put them into ketosis rapidly, you can detect immediate improvements in cognition across a variety of tests. So let the brain be a hybrid. Like human metabolism is a hybrid, burning sugar or fat. With the brain, its hybrid fuels are blood sugar and ketones. But we have to give the ketones to the brain. And you can only have ketones in your blood if the body is in fat burning mode, because ketones come from fat burning. And so thus the person who's listening already knows that means insulin must be down. And that is why you see so many, this explosion in this area of ketogenic diets as a therapy for Alzheimer's disease. Now, my lab has actually taken our first steps into this phenomenon, this study where we analyzed the gene expression of human brains, so post-mortem brains from people that had no Alzheimer's disease and brains from people that had Alzheimer's disease. And what was so fascinating is that in the Alzheimer's brains, virtually every gene associated with glucose use was significantly lower than normal. So this is genes involved in glucose uptake into the brain tissues, the oligodendrocytes, the microglia, the neurons. They were compromised. So glucose uptake was significantly down, and glucose catabolism, like the genes involved in actual glycolysis, were also significantly lower than the normal brain. However, when we did the parallel analysis of genes involved in ketone catabolism, ketone uptake and ketone burning, they were normal in the demented, in the Alzheimer's brains. So all more evidence surrounding this idea that in Alzheimer's disease, glucose metabolism is compromised, but not ketone metabolism. So the best thing we can do for our brains, and indeed one of the reasons I personally adhere to a low carbohydrate ketogenic diet, is to help my brain work and to help fight off Alzheimer's disease, one of the few diseases that I am very much afraid of.
DoctorsToTrust.com, world's #1 site for short, annotated nutrition videos designed to share with loved ones.